Okay, so I wanted to do a little bit of a poetry reading. So how this works, basically, this should really quickly announce this new project. It's probably, it's absolutely the most ambitious thing I've ever thought of doing. I don't know. How this works is, every so often I get like a really ambitious idea, and then for whatever reason, just end up going with it, and then usually in most situations ends up working out pretty well. But in this situation, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out because I've written 12,000 words for this project so far, which is usually the length of any one of my books. But essentially, what I did is I looked up, the longest works of literature ever written, and in this case, the longest poem ever written is 1.8 million words. It's a Hindu epic poem, and that kind of inspired me to like write a book that's longer than that, because 1.8 million words would, if you're writing like 3,000 words a day, that would only take you 2 to 4 years to write. So but what I thought of, I just want to the best way to get your name out there is to do some kind of record breaking thing. So in this case, it's gonna be really easy for me to do this. If I write 3,000 words a day for a period of 10 years, I will literally have the longest work of literature ever written, which would be about 22 million words. But and again, this idea is. I feel like in some points in my life I get in a stagnant process where I don't end up writing. So this will be a really good thing for me because it'll give me an excuse to start writing and stuff like that. So that's basically what I wanted to say about that. I just needed a really good excuse to start writing, and sometimes I go for days without writing anything. I just want to be in a consistent thing where, okay, I have a deadline, gotta write this and this day. So even though at first it might come out like a little bit of like trash stuff coming out of my writing, because the reason for that would be because when you're writing so much in such a short period of time, you don't really have time to sit and ponder about the words. You just got to get the words out there. Of course, every word does have specific meaning. It's just like, is it efficient and is it directed in a way that evokes, and then my cat, emotion in the way that it should. She's on top of the fridge, oh my gosh. But anyway, I just wanted to read, some poems. The book is going to be one single poem. So it's going to be one single poem. The current goal is 22 million words, but it will be at very least, 1.8 million. It's divided into sections of 6,000 or so words called super sections. Sections, in my opinion, are 1,000 words. So the super sections are 6,000 words. And then there's going to be 3,666 super sections in the book, which equals approximately 22 million words. So that's just my thought process here. And I guess this will be an introductory video to this poetry series. And the working title for this book project is currently called Baptism of Apathy Portfolio 3, which essentially is Baptism of Apathy Book 3. And the subtitle is The Banner of the Broken Cross. And there's going to be 40 different volumes that come out. They're called presented volumes, just so I can categorize what they are. So it's technically one poem in one book, but because no one can fit 22 million words in one book, that's why there's going to be 40 different editions coming out over the course of 20 years. So again, this is just a project I'm really excited about. It's going to be the longest work of poetry ever written, and the longest book or longest work of literature, period, in any language that's ever written. And I feel like it's not just a topic I'm going to be rambling about without any passion for that topic. The topic is religion. The idea is here you have this alternate universe where instead of Jesus Christ coming to the world and being incarnate, you have another evil, wicked character who's possessed by a demon taking his place and forming a religion instead of God himself forming that religion. And it's like how the characters deal with that. You got the character, alternate universe version of the character Christian Ehrlichman, who I was writing about in the original drafts of Baptism of Apathy. And he has this deep love for his future wife Natalie, who is he has visions about the other world, and in this world he sees the alternate version of Natalie, and she's just like drifting on the oceans of it, metaphorically speaking, which recognizes oh my gosh, symbolizes baptism and just the surrender you have when you find a religion where there is peace and there is a certain understanding that God is merciful, not gonna just kill everyone. And the version of the evil character who comes in the world just to try to take over the world via trying to exploit everything. He's possessed by a demon. He does this with the help of a demon who gives him seemingly eternal life. So that's why even 2,000 years later he's still around. This character is, basically like Antichrist character or something. Like it's sort of like you have like a war between eventually I think the Christian is the character who starts out with starts the conflict between the dark side and the good side by getting his thoughts out there with his he has visions of Christ and of his wife, and in those visions you hear those typical Bible verses like blessed are the poor in spirit, etc. And he longs for this world that he's been robbed of, basically, because you have in the world he lives in, there's no mention of God or anything like that, and like anyone who dissents from the official religious position will be executed. And that a lot of people think it's hard to imagine that you would have a regime that's that intense that would execute people for going against the grain. But look over the world, you do still see things like that even today that exists in the world in some places. Not really Christian, the Christian side of things, but you do still see that. It's not hard to imagine, and it's this kind of religious extremism that I'm trying to write about here, that in a poetic way we turn the tables and think like, are you really following what's right if you just want to control to such an extent that you just want to kill people? And in this way, the character Christian is who in some ways is emblematic of some of my thoughts. That he just describes the way he sees the world and the way he wants the world to be now that he has these visions of a different world that I'll probably never enter. So I haven't written a lot about this book yet. I have written 12,000 words so far, but the main character, who is probably best described as the narrator, is a character known as the Bard Prophet. He is a character that travels between universes, and that's kind of like his thing. That's what he does. So he kind of gives like a backbone to the story. Like each super section of the story, which is 6,000 words, is going to show like the characters, the different characters' views on that world. There's going to be lots of different characters that are going to be in this epic poem. Again, it's one poem, but there's lots of character voices. I just can't wait for people to read it. There's a Wattpad article or story in the description, which is going to contain the entire text of this book up to the limit of the chapters they'll allow me to put there. I believe the limit is about 200 chapters that you can put for a story, so I might have to divide it into like multiple different stories. But again, as far as the print version is concerned and the ebook version, there are only going to be 40 different volumes of this book, which is in itself, it's a sub-series within Baptism of Apathy, because Baptism of Apathy is like a series of 14 books. This is just book 3. I've written book 2, haven't published it yet, and I do still need to release the new edition of book 1, and release book 2, and release book 3, and then we'll go from there. Once the book 3 is finished, which is the book I just described, which is the Banner of the Broken Cross, which is portfolio 3. I'll have a better understanding of where the series is going, but like there's so many words I need to write. I feel there's something like powerful about having a lot of material written down for one work. You know, I feel like in some sense when a work of art has very few words, there's a lot less you can do with it. So that's just where I am right now. I think this is gonna be the real end of the video. So thanks everyone for watching, and if you're new, just please subscribe if you got this far. I mean, you've just really been struggling, with getting the YouTube views and also subscribers. I think the key is to getting the subscribers is to get more views. Right now I have about 20,000 views, but I'm trying to get that up to as high as I can get. But thank you everyone for listening. I really do appreciate it. You don't know, even if you're just watching this, just passing through, you have no idea how appreciated you are. And my next series of videos will be just me reading from that poetry book, and this is probably the first video in that series. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate it so much.